Working out can be one of the absolute best things that you can do for fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, but it can also be incredibly difficult when you feel like crap all the time. My name's Eliana Camargo, and I'm the Healing Fairy, and I also happen to have fibromyalgia. And so over the years, I've learned tips and tricks on how to make working out easier and more manageable to the point where I can run miles and do pull-ups without feeling like dying. And so I wanted to share those tips with you so that you can live your best possible life. I also made a blog article about this topic, so if you'd rather read about it, the link is in the description. So first things first, if working out just seems completely impossible, seems like there's no reality where that could even remotely be a possibility for you, my first tip is to get your diet in check. This was the first step that I had to get in order to even contemplate working out, because before I fixed my diet, my chronic fatigue was so bad that I was not capable of growing muscle in any capacity. So number one tip before you even think about working out is get your diet in order. And so beginning the actual tips about exercising, the first real tip is to throw out everything you have ever heard about exercising ever. Throw it out. Get out of your brain, put it in a dumpster, and light it on fire. Forget everything you have ever heard about working out. We're going to reprogram your brain because most of the information that's out there about exercising applies to able-bodied people. And unfortunately, when you have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, you can't work out like everybody else can. So you have to learn a new set of rules. So I'm here to reprogram your brain with the proper way to work out for your unique body. So one of the big pieces of advice that the world likes to push on us when we're working out is go, 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 push past the burn. If you stop your no pain, no gain. And it's a lot of this mindset of just keep pushing past your limit. And that is terrible advice when you have fibromyalgia. A lot of people will tell you that if you take a break from exercising for a week, for example, you're taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. That you're going to lose all your gains. It's completely pointless. Or you're told that if you ease into working out with very light exercises, then you're not going to build any muscle and may as well just lay in bed and do nothing. And so going forward, whenever you watch videos about exercising, you hear people talking about it in real life, you get advice, remind yourself that odds are those tips and tricks do not apply to you. Of course, some can, but people will give generalized advice that does apply to the average able-bodied person. And you are not that. And so remember that that doesn't apply to you. Don't let it program your brain that it should be this way and that you have to follow that advice because qualified individuals are giving that advice, or you hear it all over the place, or you should be doing it this way. You're not a normal human being. You're special. You're a very special human. I know it's not the way you want to be special, but remember that that does not apply to you and don't let it program into your brain. Throw it all out. So that leads us to, you have to completely let go of the goals and timeframes that normal able-bodied people like to put on us of what we should be able to achieve in what timeline. Essentially, get rid of all of your goals. If your goal is to be able to run a mile or run a 5K or run a marathon, whatever it is, let go of that goal for a while. And instead, change your goal to, I want to work out consistently. It doesn't matter what the workout consists of, just that it is consistent. I'm not saying that you can't achieve your goals, but the timeline that's going to happen can be incredibly slow. And so don't let this journey be defined by the goals that you're trying to achieve. Instead, your new goal is to exercise to feel good. Not exercise to look a certain way, not exercise to be a certain weight, or speed while you're running, or amount of weight you can lift. You're just exercising to feel good and to be healthy. That is your new goal. And so the next mindset that you have to adopt is forget about trying to increase every workout. That's a huge part of when you research about fitness and working out. You're supposed to run a little bit faster, lift a little bit heavier, go a little bit longer. Forget about that. Yes, that is an important component, and we'll come back to it. But for now, in the beginning, forget about trying to increase every workout. Because along this journey of working out with fibromyalgia, you're going to fluctuate in your health a lot. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And so there may be one day where you run a mile in 10 minutes and you feel so amazing, you feel great, and for the next 2 weeks, you feel awful, and you take a step back and you're like, well, just last week I was able to run a mile, now I can hardly run 2 laps without feeling like I'm dying. What's happening? Aren't I supposed to be minimum staying the same, if not increasing, every time I work out? But that's not going to be the case for you. So expect that there's going to be ups and downs. Everything in life is a journey. Nothing is straight up. It all has its fluctuations. And so sometimes you'll be able to do more and sometimes you'll be able to do less. So completely let go of the mindset that you should be increasing as time goes on. It'll take you a lot longer to increase your strength, your stamina, your speed, your endurance, everything. It's going to take you a lot longer than the average person. So be okay with that. You have to learn to be okay with that. So this means instead of measuring your progress with improvement, measure your progress with consistency. Your new goal is to just show up and do something, do a workout, rather than trying to get better and better. Your goal is to just work out, period. Another key component of mindset is being optimistic and essentially manifesting health. If you keep telling yourself, this is impossible, I feel so weak, I'm never going to get stronger, I'm never going to be healthy, my fibromyalgia is always going to be shitty, you're going to get stuck in a spiral. You're not going to be able to break out of that mental barrier. And so a huge component of this is knowing that you can and will become healthier. You can and will be able to live a normal life. You can and will be able to travel and explore the world and work out and exercise and feel strong and healthy and good doing so. Even if today you don't feel that way, even if this week you don't feel that way, it is possible. It's possible for me. It is possible for you. It's been done by many people. Knowing it and creating it to be true. And manifesting isn't thinking it, no, suddenly I'm healthy. That's not how manifesting works. Manifesting happens through inspired action. And so there are steps that we need to take to improve our health, like balancing all the pillars of our life through manifestation. The universe will bring you teachers and it'll bring you doctors who can actually figure out what's wrong with you and help get you better. So manifesting the health ability to work out is a huge key component of this. So you might be asking yourself, how do I even begin working out when my body's in so much pain all the time or I'm so exhausted all the time? So that leads us to talking about the difference between working out with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. So the ironic thing about fibromyalgia is the pains we feel in our body generally decrease the fitter we are, especially if your pains have to do more with your joints, your muscles, your fascia, rather than something like your skin feeling like it's burning. That's kind of a different issue in terms of fibromyalgia. But when your pain is very intense, it can deter you and make it impossible to work out. So essentially the first step is to work on all of the other pillars of your life to get your pain to decrease to the point where you feel like it's possible for you to even begin working out. Once that's the case, then work out on the days where your pain is the least. And there probably inevitably is going to be pain when you're working out. For me, my fibromyalgia shows up as joint pain. So if I'm doing yoga, if I'm running, whatever it is, my joints hurt. And it sucks. It really does. But as long as the pain is like a 4 or lower on a scale of 1 to 10, you pretty much just have to power through it. This is where you have to be really in tune with your body and know what your limits are. Sometimes pushing past the pain can make the pain worse. It can make you flare up and make it harder to work out because now you're in a 9 out of 10 level of pain, you're bedridden, and you can't exactly work out, so you just made everything worse. So essentially, you just have to get really in tune with your body and know where your limits are. And this will take trial and error. There are going to be days where you push past your limit and you cause yourself to flare up, and you're going to be really freaking annoyed at yourself in the whole process, but you have to be patient and gentle with yourself. Let yourself rest. Take time off of working out. Even if you lose your gains, it's not going to matter. Your body actually loses muscle a lot slower than bodybuilders will have you believe. But essentially, some pain in the beginning is normal. Push past it to the point where it's still semi-comfortable, because that's how, in the long term, your pain is going to decrease. It's so easy to just feel the pain in the moment and be like, I give up, I don't want to do this anymore. But like everything in life, short-term pleasure usually results in long-term dissatisfaction, and short-term dissatisfaction usually results in long-term pleasure. And I've actually become acutely aware of how this works because when I do take a break from working out, my joint pain starts coming back. And then it gets more annoying to get into the workout again. But if I'm consistently working out, I've noticed that my joint pain stays away for a lot longer, which is incredible. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. So you have to push through the pain a little bit in the beginning, but wait for the days where your pain is lower to begin. And the great thing about working out, especially more cardio-based exercises, is over the long term, it actually increases the amount of energy that we have throughout the day. We've all heard that before, that working out can increase our energy. With fibromyalgia and CFS, it's more of a long-term effect than the same-day effect because exercising can really deplete your energy the day of. It takes a lot of spoons to exercise. But it's great to note that if you have chronic fatigue syndrome, exercising in the long term can give you energy. However, it's a lot trickier to exercise with chronic fatigue syndrome than it is with fibromyalgia. And this is one of the main differences between the two diagnoses. This is one of the main differences between the two diagnoses. It's incredibly easy when you have chronic fatigue syndrome to cause a flare-up by overexerting yourself. Because when you have CFS, it feels like your life force energy is depleted, like your prana, your chi, the electricity that flows through your body. It's a lot different than just being sleepy or overworked. It's an entirely different type of fatigue. And it's almost like you have a battery of energy every day and you're running on 10% when the rest of the world is running on 90%. And so if you work out and you deplete that tiny little bit of energy that you have, it can cause you to be bedridden for a long time. So if you have CFS, you have to be a lot more careful with how you work out and go a lot slower. Again, the focus should be on consistency and not improvement. And so now we can move on to how to actually exercise. What do you do? If you're completely bedbound, see if you can manage to go for 5-minute walks or 10-minute walks, 20-minute walks. Or if you already regularly can go for walks, then increase them by a little bit. Whatever sort of movement you can incorporate into your day, start extremely slowly. Don't go to a fitness class. Take baby steps. You've got to ease into it. I give you permission. You're allowed to ease into it. Now, if you're a little bit healthier and you can do more than just walk, one of the best exercises you can do for fibromyalgia is yoga. Probably heard about it everywhere. Your doctor has probably told you about it. If you hate yoga, I'm so sorry. Learn to love it because it is the best workout, not just for fibromyalgia, but for everybody. It really is the most well-rounded exercise you can do because it focuses on building your strength, building your balance. You can incorporate cardio into it, stretching, and mindfulness and meditation, as well as connecting with your breath as you move and becoming more in tune with your body and listening to your body. Just all around, it is the best exercise you can do. And beyond that, it's so easy to modify a yoga flow to be easier or harder. And so on days where you're feeling better, you can increase the difficulty of the yoga flow. And on days where you're not feeling so good, you can super easily decrease the difficulty. And if you're at a yoga class, they actually encourage this. They encourage you to listen to your body. They encourage you, if you're not feeling up to doing another sun salutation or another flow, to either just rest in downward dog or child's pose, to take whatever it is that your body needs. It's the exact opposite of the CrossFit type of mindset of go, 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 them yelling at you and telling you to keep going even when you're exhausted. In yoga, they really focus on listening to your body and taking rest when you need it, which can be incredibly healing for the soul and you emotionally from growing up and having to go through PE or gym class where they're yelling at you and telling you to keep going. Essentially, the types of workouts that you want to do are the things that old people do when they're working out. So whatever you picture what old people do, or you can research what old people do when they work out, you want to do those things. So if you're in really bad shape, working out in a pool and doing aerobics in a pool can be incredibly helpful and decrease a lot of the pain that you can feel in your body. I actually had my doctor prescribe me a pass to a local pool where it's a heated pool that's only open to people who have a prescription from their doctor. And there are personal trainers there, or physical therapists, I'm not sure what they're called, who will work with you and where you're at. And it's specifically for old people, injured people, chronically ill people, And it's a heated pool indoors, which is amazing. So you can ask your doctor if there's anything like that in the town you live that they can prescribe you to or look around if you don't have access to a pool. That's a great option. Also for cardio, doing things that are lower impact like riding a bike can be incredibly helpful. I personally love running. Running can be a little bit higher impact, but depending on you or your body, it might be easy for you to do or enjoyable for you. But if it sounds really intimidating to be going outdoors, biking, running, doing all that, I strongly recommend working out indoors, like in your home or in a gym, for a few reasons. One, because people with fibromyalgia tend to have a difficult time regulating their body temperature. It might not be the case for you, but I know it is for me and many people with fibromyalgia. I find that if I'm working out somewhere where it's too warm, like 80 degrees or above, I feel like I'm dying. I get so dizzy and exhausted and it feels horrendous. I can't continue working out for a long time if it's too warm. And so it's a lot easier to work out in my home or in a gym, somewhere that you can have AC or a fan. So if you do find it difficult for you to continue doing long workouts and you're doing things outdoors, that might be a contributing factor. Also, because sometimes it can be hard to determine how much energy you actually have that day. And say you're going for a run or a bike ride outside, you may run far away from home. And then once you're at the furthest point, realize, oh shit, I have way less energy than I expected. My body's shutting down. I need to stop right now. And now you're stranded far away from your home and you're like, damn it, I'm gonna have to find out a way to get home and exert the last 1% of the fuel in my tank, and then you're going to cause a flare-up and you're going to be bedridden and it's going to be not very fun. So if you're working out in a static location, like inside your home or a gym, on a treadmill, on a stationary bicycle, it doesn't matter how hard you work out, you're always going to be in the same location. And so you can end the workout whenever you need to and make it back and be home very quickly. And this should go without saying, but completely avoid workouts like CrossFit or P90X or any of like the really intense workouts that get people heaving and throwing up and crying for their mama and they're being yelled at. Any kind of workout where it's normal for them to yell at you to keep going, it's really not tailored and custom to you, can be really difficult for people with fibromyalgia. So stay away from the super intense yelling type of workouts. Those just don't do it. Maybe eventually you can build up your strength and work up to that, absolutely. But in the beginning, for maybe even a few years, just don't think about it. Just save yourself the trauma. Don't do it. And so, again, the most important part of this journey of exercise is consistency, not improvement. It's best if you find a time during the day that you like to work out the best. I personally like to work out in the afternoon, early evening, because it does drain me of a lot of energy. And I know lots of people say working out boosts their energy for the rest of their day. I don't experience that. And so I like working out after I've already used my brain and everything on everything else that I need to do. Find a time of day that you like to work out and schedule throughout your week however often it is that you'd like to work out. So if you completely do not work out whatsoever and you're just beginning, maybe start with 1 day a week or 2 days a week and try to stick to that routine. So if Saturday afternoon comes around, you know you have to do a workout. And the key is, sometimes you're not going to be able to do a workout when that scheduled time comes around. And so I recommend still getting dressed in your workout clothes and showing up wherever it is that you do your workout, maybe just at home on a yoga mat. And instead of doing the workout, do an incredibly modified, easier version, even if it's just stretching. So if you have a routine where you do yoga for 20 minutes, but you're feeling awful that day and you can't do 20 minutes of yoga, get on your yoga mat and just stretch, or just sit in child's pose, sit in whatever pose is comfortable for you, if you have enough energy to at least do that. That way, it reinforces in your brain that this is a habit, because it's so easy when you're giving yourself a break because you're not feeling well and you genuinely should not be working out. Sometimes those time periods can go on for days, weeks, months, and then by the time you're feeling better, you completely forget that you should be working out. And then you go to bed that day and you're like, wait, I didn't work out today. So if you keep the habit of still showing up and doing a modified version or just praying, sitting, meditating, you'll still be in the routine of on the days where you do feel good, you'll remember, oh yeah, this is what I do. It's 5 p.m. I'm gonna go to my yoga mat and I'm gonna do a flow. Anytime that you don't feel well, you can tell your body is not gonna be happy with a workout, you're exhausted, you're in a lot of pain, don't make yourself work out. It's so easy to get into the mindset of, well, I've been doing so good for so long, working out's supposed to make me feel better in the long term, right? So I just want to be a normal human being. Let me just work out today, even though I can tell my body's telling me not to. Don't fall into that mindset. You have to be incredibly patient with yourself, incredibly gentle with yourself, and let yourself rest when you know that you need rest. And don't beat yourself up for it. Don't get angry at your body. Let it be. Think of the mindset that there's so many people who that's not the case for, and they do and probably should force themselves to work out even when they're like not really feeling up to it because that's good for them. They wish they were in your shoes where, I'm not feeling great. I'm just going to take the day off. So be grateful. It's easy to punish our bodies for having flare-ups, but be grateful that you don't have to work out that day. You want to increase the difficulty extremely slowly. Way slower than the average person increases the difficulty of their workouts. So if you can run a mile in 12 minutes, don't force yourself to run a mile in 11 minutes and 30 seconds a month from now. Focus more on just getting your heart rate up and working out and not trying to go Hulk status. If you can do 5 push-ups, don't have the goal of doing 10 push-ups a month from now. Level up extremely slowly and be okay with that. You have to be patient, and that's a huge new mindset you're going to have to adopt, is accepting where you're at right now and increasing what you do very slowly, a lot slower than you would imagine. Really important through this process, you're going to have to learn to be in tune with your body and know when you should be pushing yourself and when you should be slowing down or stopping. And this is going to take trial and error. There's going to be days where you feel like you can keep going, but then you realize, oh, I've reached my limit, I've gone way too far, and you cause a flare-up, and it's going to suck, and you're going to beat yourself up for it, but don't beat yourself up for it. Expect and understand that it's going to take time to tune into your body. And just like learning to drive a stick shift car, in the beginning you can't really tell when it's about to stall, but as you get more experienced, you can feel that the car is about to stall and save it before it does. The same thing you're going to do with your body, and you're going to learn when like, oh, it feels like I'm about to push it too far, so I'm going to step back and let my body rest instead. And especially if you have CFS, it's a very unique feeling. For example, if you're doing cardio by running on a treadmill, it almost feels like your life force energy or your prana meter is just quickly going down. And that's how you know you need to step it back, or else you're going to overexert yourself and feel completely awful and drained for a week. And it's a feeling that I don't think normal able-bodied people experience. To my knowledge, I've never heard of anyone talk about it, but it's a very unique feeling. It's not like feeling overexerted because your muscles are tired or because you're, I don't know, however normal people determine when they need to stop working out because they get tired. It's a completely different feeling. It feels like the life force energy, the prana, the chi of your body is just being completely drained out. And when you feel that beginning, stop. Let yourself rest. And on the days where you're feeling really great, you're feeling over the moon, you have so much energy, you're like, oh my god, I feel like a normal, healthy human being. It can be so easy on those days to be like, oh, I finally have the energy and the stamina to do a really intense workout. I really want to build up my muscles. But be careful. Don't overexert yourself just because you have energy that day. Yes, of course, do a more intense workout. Absolutely, by all means, increase the difficulty. But don't increase it too much. Don't push yourself to the max, to the limit, just because you have energy that one day. Because I've made this mistake so many times, and again, you can end up pushing yourself too far without realizing it and cause a flare-up, and all of the work that you did by increasing your workout that one day, you're going to have to take a couple weeks off of working out, and then once you get back into it, you're at a lower spot than you were before. So the key is to just be gentle with your body, and when you are increasing the effort into a workout, increase it very slowly, even on your good days. Instead of focusing on a goal like how many miles I want to run or how quickly I want to run a mile, I instead like to focus on my heart rate and keeping my heart rate within 60 to 80% of its maximum heart rate. I think to me that's a way more important factor than how far or how fast you're doing cardio. The treadmill that I use at my apartment gym has a heart rate monitor that you can hold on to, and it tells you what your heart rate is. So if you can get access to gym equipment that has that, amazing. There's also smartwatches, Fitbits, things like that can measure your heart rate, but you don't need access to any fancy equipment to measure your heart rate. There's many tricks like feeling your pulse on your neck and counting how many heartbeats are within 10 seconds. So you set a timer on your phone for 10 seconds, count how many pulses you have within that 10 seconds, and then multiply that by 6, and that's how many beats per minute you are exercising at that moment. So make it a regular habit while you're doing cardio to regularly check your heart rate and make sure it's not going too high. I pretty much like to work out up to 80% of my max heart rate and then slow it down to 60, give myself a break, go back up to 80, and just stay within that range when I'm doing cardio. And you can find charts online and information online of what your maximum heart rate should be. Of course, it may be more specific to you, and as you work out again, you can kind of learn the heart rate that you feel best at, where you feel like you're getting a workout, you're getting your cardio, and you're sweating, but you're not overexerting yourself. So I've noticed that's been one of the huge factors, is if physically, I'm capable of running so much faster, but it gets my heart rate to dangerous levels, and that's when I feel the life force energy of me draining out, and then I flare up with CFS. Another tip is my energy varies greatly every time I do cardio. So some days I'm able to go a lot further and do a lot more. Some days I'm able to do less. So I like to set a time limit. And again, you can keep it rough and by all means end it early if you need to end your workout early. But I would start out with just 10 minutes. Now I'm up to 20 minutes where I'll jog walk during that time. And if I get to a point where I'm like, okay, no, I'm reaching my limit, I cannot run anymore, and I've only done 10 minutes, I'll just walk the last 20. That way I'm still keeping it consistent. I'm still at the gym for that length of time. And sometimes after you've cooled down for 5 minutes, you've just been walking, you get another burst of energy and you can run for another minute or two and get a little bit of your workout in still. Or if I'm doing yoga and I'm doing a lot of intense poses and my muscles have had it, they cannot stand any longer, I'll still stay on my yoga mat and do stretches and cool down for the rest of the duration of the time that I set that I want to work out. So set a time limit of how long you want to work out for, and even if you're not working out for that entire time, you're just doing something really simple like stretching, walking, something very gentle on your body, make sure that you're still there for the full duration. And the last point I want to discuss is emotional trauma that we can have regarding exercise. And this is twofold. One of the large causes of fibromyalgia is trauma or PTSD stored in our subconscious mind. And this is one of the many pillars of fibromyalgia that so many people leave out. Our doctors, if you have a halfway decent doctor who actually believes in fibromyalgia and is trying to help you, we'll talk about diet and exercise and sleep and all of the regular pillars that keeps a person healthy. But hardly any doctor talks about how trauma is a huge component of fibromyalgia. So this is twofold. On one end, if you have any kind of trauma from your past, it can make exercising a lot more difficult because of the fibromyalgia that it causes. But on the other side, we can have trauma about exercise. This was something huge in my past, and so I know there's someone else out there who's suffering with this and doesn't really have anyone they can relate to in talking about this. But when we grow up in a society that expects everybody to be able-bodied, and the language that we hear surrounding exercise is so focused on the able-bodied normal person who should be capable of doing these things, it can cause us to feel misunderstood, unseen, unheard, different, outcast, and that can be really painful. And beyond that, we can have experiences growing up in PE or gym class where we're made to feel weak or inferior or like something's wrong with us, or people don't understand that we can't do what they're asking us to do. We can't do things the way a normal person does, or we might try to be articulating that we feel like death when we're trying to work out, that we feel horrendous beyond horrendous, and it's expected that working out's supposed to be uncomfortable, and working out's supposed to make you feel certain ways. And so they just kind of chalk it off to that, and not understand that the way we're feeling is 10 times worse than what they expect the normal person to feel like after the exercise that we just did. And it can be incredibly traumatic, especially in school where your grade depends on how physically capable you are. And so if you want to get good grades and you want to get into college, you have to force your body to go past the extreme of what it's capable of doing, and it's screaming at you to stop, but you keep going because you need to get a good grade or because you should be able to do this and you're supposed to work past the pain, right? And it can be incredibly invalidating and scary and really painful to have memories like that in your past. Or even beyond gym class PE, but just living your everyday life. Parking your car and walking around a grocery store can be so incredibly difficult, and putting it into words and explaining it in a way that people understand can be so difficult. People don't always understand what it is we're trying to say, because if they haven't lived our life, if they haven't experienced it, they don't get it. And oftentimes these memories won't be big traumas like people being abused or going to war. Lots of times when we think about mental trauma, we think about these really dramatic, traumatic, big life events. But trauma isn't always that. There can be little t trauma or smaller traumas, like everything I just described, and those stay with you. They get stored in your subconscious and have lots of negative emotions tied to it. And when you're working out, sometimes it can trigger those memories of times that you felt misunderstood, where you felt like you were dying and yet they kept yelling at you to keep going and keep pushing. Essentially, you need to heal from that trauma if you want to be able to further the exercise that you are capable of doing. Working out can sometimes trigger this mental trauma and cause a lot of sorrow or grief or really sad negative emotions surrounding these memories from our past. And it's because you need to emotionally heal from those experiences if you want to further your capability in working out and further your life as a happy, healthy human being. So in those moments, you need to validate your feelings. Don't just try to push them away and be like, oh, it is what it is, whatever. No, absolutely not. Validate your feelings and give your inner child some love. Let yourself take a break. Probably need to stop your exercise, stop your workout in that moment and rest. And let yourself know that even though those things happened in the past and there have been experiences where your body felt like it was falling apart and it was really scary, but you're getting healthier and healthier. In the timeline of your life, you are getting healthier and healthier. And today, this week, this month might be a really bad month for your health. You might have been healthier a year ago and now you're lower, so it doesn't feel like you're getting healthier and healthier. But remind yourself, when you zoom out on the timeline of your life, you may be in a dip, but it all dips, ebbs and flows, and you are getting healthier and healthier. So remind yourself, it's okay. It's okay that those experiences happened in the past. They were really painful, really hurtful, really sad. You felt unseen, you felt unheard, you felt misunderstood, you felt scared and alone. But it's okay. And it's not always going to be that way. Right now, today, it might be that way, but it's not going to be that way forever, because you can heal the majority of your fibromyalgia. You can heal from this, and you are. And let your inner child know that you're never going to force yourself to be overexerted ever again. As much as you can help it, you're an adult. You're in control of your life. If anyone ever tries to make you do something beyond what you're physically capable of, you're never going to let that happen again. And your inner child is screaming for rest. It doesn't want to exercise anymore. And that's okay. Let it. It's okay to not exercise today or this week. And remind yourself and your inner child that it's okay if others don't understand your needs as someone with fibromyalgia or CFS. They might not ever understand what it's like to be you, or they might think that this gentler approach to exercise and all the other accommodations that you need in your life are stupid and they don't get it, whatever it is. It's okay. They might never understand. Or maybe one day they will get educated either through you or elsewhere, and while they'll never experience it, they can at least be more understanding of what it's like. Maybe that'll happen, maybe that won't, and that's okay. You don't need anyone else to understand you. You are in control of your life. You understand you. You're always going to get the accommodations that you need. You're always going to advocate for yourself, and you're going to be there for your inner child. You're going to nurture it and protect it and let it rest when it needs rest. And just remind yourself, tell your inner child everything that it needs to hear in that moment, and let yourself cry, let yourself grieve, let yourself feel sad, let yourself feel hurt about these past memories. But know that those memories are in the past, and your future is looking up. Your future is so bright, and the more you utilize the tips in this video and time goes on and you balance all of the pillars in your life, you'll look back and see where you are today or where you were a year ago and see how far you've come. I'm living proof that it's possible, and you are no exception. It may be a long journey and there will be ups and downs, but you will be healthy enough to get there. Know it to be true, and it will manifest. So I'm sending you all of my love. Good luck. And I hope you liked this video. I hope it was helpful. So give it a like. Or not, whatever. It's your life. You live it the way you see it best. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.